My grandfather kept 40 hens on a patch of ground you could walk corner to corner in 2 minutes. Never bought a bag of feed, not one. I spent 32 years on the other side of that, hauling bags off a truck, running a mill. Finally, managing the biggest feed store in the county, watching that 50-pound bag climb past $20, past $25, past $30. Last I looked, the organic bag was over $40 everywhere. I rang that register up for 32 years, and I never once said what I'm about to say now. I know what you might be thinking. You've seen the videos. Never buy feed again. Feed your flock for free forever. And then you tried it, and by February, your hens were thin and your shell quality was gone. You're not wrong to be suspicious. So let me be plain about the size of the promise. The honest number is 40 to 75%, stacked across several methods done right. The all-or-nothing version is what costs people their egg basket. Here's what's in that bag you're buying: corn, soy, trucking, packaging, and 3 sets of margins between the grain farmer and your coop. That's not inflation. That's a subscription. 100 years ago, nobody paid it because nobody had to. Your great-grandparents grew what their hens needed. They built a system. Then somebody figured out you could replace that system with a bag. It's free information and it works, so there's no business to build selling it to you. That's the only reason you haven't heard it put together in one place. What I'm going to walk you through is that system, 4 layers, stacked the way the old-timers ran them. Stay to the end. There's one specific mistake that collapses the whole thing, and it's the same mistake those free feed videos never warn you about. I'm going to be direct about it. The first layer is the one right under your feet. Your great-grandparents didn't have a secret plant or a magic recipe. What they had was a stack, 4 layers, each one doing part of the work, none of them doing all of it alone. Start with the ground. If you have a yard and your hens can get into it, you have feed that costs you nothing. But most people let the hens range and think that's the whole job. It isn't. An earthworm runs about 60 to 70% protein on a dry matter basis. That means you pull the water out and measure what's left, so the numbers compare fair. A hen working good ground in the right season can pull a real share of her daily protein straight off that yard. Your great-grandparents counted on it because it worked. What grandfather used, though he'd never have called it a method, was rotational access. He moved the hens. Even a small backyard can be split into 2 sections. Let them work one side, then move them, and let the first side rest. The worms come back, the bugs back. Leave hens on one fixed patch all season, and they'll strip it bare in 2 weeks. Moving them is what keeps the whole thing producing. Moving them is what keeps the whole thing producing. Write this down if nothing else. Free ranging does not replace calcium. A hen in a good yard can find protein in seeds and green. She cannot find enough calcium in most yards to keep her shells right. Free choice oyster shell stays out at all times. Ranging flock, confined flock, doesn't matter. I watched people come to my counter wondering why their shells were going thin. And more than once, it was because they thought the range was doing the whole job. Put the shell out, leave it out. One more honest thing. Ranging is a warm season method. A hen walking that yard in January is burning more calories than she's finding. Free ranging in winter buys you almost nothing on the feed bill. We'll get to what does work in winter shortly. My grandfather never called it foraging. He called it letting the hens earn their keep. But he knew which months they could earn it and which months they needed his help. And he never once confused the two. The second layer is the scrap bucket, done right. A good piece of what you're paying for in that bag every month is covering what goes into your garbage instead of the coop. What goes in? Vegetable and fruit peels, leafy greens, soft fruit past its prime, cooked oats or rice or plain barley with no salt and no seasoning, Cooking water from vegetables or plain meat. Most people pour that down the drain, and it has real protein in it. Dairy in small amounts. Stale bread is filler, not nutrition, so don't lean on it. Now the never list. This is not optional. Avocado in any form. Raw or dried beans. They carry something poisonous to chickens until heat breaks it down. The green leaves and stems from potato, tomato, and pepper plants. Rhubarb leaves. Onions and garlic in quantity. Anything moldy. Anything. Because the bad things that grow in mold do not cook off, and they will hurt your flock. Salty or processed food. Chocolate. Caffeine. Hard stops, every one of them. There was a woman who came to my counter every month, same bag, same size. She mentioned once she was feeding kitchen scraps. I told her to add more protein. She came back the next month for the same bag. I always meant to tell her the rest, what to plant, what to grow, how to actually close the gap. I didn't, because none of that was for sale in my store. This channel is the rest of that conversation. A clean scrap system can replace roughly 10 to 20% of your bought ration. On a 12-bird flock, that's close to a bag a month staying in your pocket, real money. But it's not where the old system actually replaced the bag. For that, your great-grandparents grew something on purpose for the hens. Not for the table, for the flock. And it's the piece the feed industry had every reason to hope you'd forget about. Grandfather had a row, not a garden bed, not pasture, a row planted for the hens. The plant he grew is called comfrey. Comfrey runs about 24 to 30% crude protein on a dry matter basis. It grows back 4 to 6 times a season after cutting, high in calcium. Drought tolerant, almost impossible to kill once established. A root cutting costs close to nothing. You plant it once and it produces for years. Nobody can build a business selling you something that regrows forever for free. That's the only reason you haven't heard more about it. Plant 1 comfrey per 2 to 3 hens. Cut the leaves when they hit 12 to 18 inches. Wilt the cut leaves for 24 hours before feeding. Fresh comfrey has a compound that can work against calcium absorption in large amounts, and wilting takes care of that. Feed it alongside the rest of the system, not as the only green they're getting. Sunflowers earn a spot in the feed row too. Let the heads go fully to seed, cut them, and hang them inside the coop. Hens strip every seed themselves, high in fat, good for feather condition through molt and winter. Amaranth runs 15 to 18% protein in the seed, grows in thin soil, and largely reseeds itself once it's in. The row was as deliberate as anything else great-grandparents grew. It just wasn't for the table. Now I need to stop and be direct, because this is the part the free feed videos always leave out, and leaving it out is what costs people their laying hens. When you start pulling back on the bought bag and leaning on these methods, there is a line you cannot cross without hurting your birds. People came to my counter with soft-shelled eggs, hens that had slowed or stopped laying, birds that looked thin and tired. Some of them had been trying to cut the bill fast. What the videos they'd watched never said, and what I didn't always say plainly enough from behind that counter, is what happens inside the hen when protein drops too low. Her body has a priority system. When protein goes short, egg production slows first. When calcium goes short, shells go thin, then soft, and then the hen starts pulling calcium from her own bones to keep producing. That is not savings. That is a bird in real trouble. Layer hens need roughly 16 to 18% protein across their overall ration. Free choice oyster shell, or clean, back-fed crushed eggshells, stays out every single day, no matter what else you're feeding. The methods I'm showing you, stacked and done right, can get you there while cutting the bill by more than half. Done carelessly, they'll empty your nest boxes. Watch the eggs. Consistent laying, solid shells, good body condition. If any of those slip, look at protein and calcium first. If an old feed man saying all this plainly is worth something to you, subscribe. I put one of these up most days. And those feed row plants with per bird planting amounts are on the free checklist. Link in the description. No catch, just an email. Print it and put it in the shed. Now the fourth layer, the one that carries you through winter when the ranging stops paying and the feed row dies back. This one surprises people most. Sprouted grain. I want to be honest here because the internet has gotten away from itself on this one. Sprouting grain does not multiply your feed. The weight gain from sprouting is mostly water. I've seen videos claiming 50 pounds becomes 300 pounds of feed, and that number isn't real. The value of fodder is digestibility. Sprouted grain breaks down in ways dry grain doesn't. And in winter, when nothing green is growing in the yard, a tray of fresh sprouts is the closest thing to pasture you've got. Soak grain 24 hours, drain it, rinse it twice a day, harvest on day 6 or 7 when green shoots are showing. Feed each bird roughly 2 to 3% of her body weight in fresh fodder daily, about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces for a standard layer. Done through winter, fodder can replace 30 to 40% of the grain ration, sometimes more depending on what else the system is doing. Fermented grain works alongside it. Soak your grain in water, leave it at room temperature 3 to 5 days until it smells pleasantly sour. Same process as sourdough. Fermented feed means hens eat roughly 20 to 30% less by volume and pull more nutrition from what they do eat. You'll see it in the feed log inside a single month. When you stack all four, rotational ranging through the warm months, a clean scrap system running all year, a feed row producing spring through fall, and fodder and fermented grain carrying the winter, you have exactly what great-grandparents had. Not a trick, a system. My own 14 hens, my own feed log, bought feed down by more than half every month, running over a year straight. That's what the bag replaced. And that's how you get it back. The bag is a product. A system is an asset. Products cost money every month, forever, and the price only goes one direction. A system costs a little time and a little knowledge, and then it runs. That's what your great-grandparents understood that somewhere along the way we all forgot. And somebody was glad we forgot it. Here's what to do this week. 1. Split the yard, even just a string line and some stakes, 2 sections. Move the hens, let the ground rest. 2. Put the never list on your fridge or inside the coop door and run every scrap through it from now on. 3. Order comfrey root cuttings, 1 per 2 hens, a half hour of planting, and decades of feed. 4. This coming winter, try 1 fodder tray. 1 tray, 1 grain, 6 days. See how your hens take to it before you build the whole system. You don't have to do all 4 this weekend. You don't have to do all 4 this year if it comes to that. Pick 1. The comfrey row doesn't have to go in today. Start somewhere and let the system build from there. But before I send you out there, cut that bill as hard as you like. I want you to. That's what this channel is for. But keep the protein around 16 to 18% across the full ration and keep free choice calcium out every single day without fail. A hen you cheap out on the wrong way doesn't lay. She just stops. And when she stops, you haven't saved a dime. You've got a hungry bird and an empty nest box. The birds come first. The savings follow. That order is the whole thing. 32 years I watched that bag go across the counter. Every year, the people buying it didn't need a bigger bag or a pricier formula. They needed to know what was in it and what they could grow instead. I knew, didn't say it. Couldn't from where I was standing. That's a long time to know something and stay quiet about it. My grandfather's 40 hens never saw a bag of feed. My 14 hens, about half a bag a month now, a little less some months. And the eggs are just the same, and the birds are right. Same system he ran, same results. I just took a 32-year detour to get back to it. I'm Earl. I spent 3 decades helping other people pay for what their great-grandparents grew. Go build the row. Go check the hens. Next video, I'm walking through my comfrey row start to finish, what it costs to put in, how many cuts I pull each season, and exactly how much bought feed it's taken off my log. If you're going to plant one thing this year, watch that one first.